Hey there, it's Crafty Jennabug. Today we are doing another Dephemerember prompt. In case you are not aware, Dephemerember is a daily ephemera inspiration prompt list that takes place during December, and it is hosted by Louisa Heinzel and Barbara at 49 Dragonflies. They've been doing this is the 5th year, and I've participated. This will be my 4th year participating. I did not know about it the first year they had it going on, so that comes into play in a moment. Today's prompt is a Throwback Thursday from 2021. Like I said, the year I didn't participate, so I had nothing to pull to like show for that year or to reference. The prompt is postcard and hand or machine sewing. Okay. So, in the spirit of what they've been encouraging this year using scraps and compartmental making, as I explained in my last video, sometimes I go through magazines and cut the letters or numbers, letters, words, whatever. Sometimes that's part of my process, is to just sit down with magazines and cut things out I might use for the future. Well, it came in handy today because I have some magazine images that I would like to feature on my postcards. These two, look at that, gorgeous. And then this little alligator guy, little baby alligator, I thought would be so cute as a postcard. And then this image, I don't know, it might be too big, actually. I really like this whole image. And I could cut it down, but I could cut it down. We'll see. We'll see. These are just the 5 I picked for potential use today. And then I really liked this from down here as a postcard. Postcards don't have to be the same size, right? I also really, maybe not this one. But what else am I going to use it for? I do love this though, because for one, it came from a magazine that takes place here in that is made here in South Carolina. And so this is, you know, where I'm from and what I see. I love the marshes, so. All right. We'll go with it. We'll go with it. I'm going to go ahead and cut these down off camera, and then we'll be back. All right. I decided not to use these 3 because they are so big, and I don't want to cut them down any further. So they are trimmed and ready for something in the future. So I'll put those aside for now. And these are the ones I have decided on. It leaves me with 4. This was on the back of the farm picture, and I thought it was really cool. It's perfect, like almost postcard size. So I'll use that. And then of course my little baby gator. And then these 2. Now I just need to figure out how I'm going to incorporate sewing. I don't want to just slap some cardstock on the back and then sew around it. That seems kind of easy. But I do want to incorporate some sort of hand sewing on these. And then I could always sew around the edges later with the machine. Do both hand and machine stitching. So I'm gonna get out some thread. I have a box full of friendship bracelet threads and my sewing stuff. And I'm just gonna speed this up while I hand sew some things. All right, I hand sewed on all of these. This one, I just did some orange plant-like things. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that one, but I learned some things about sewing on magazine pages. The short answer is don't. I could have benefited from backing these with even just copy paper because there was a lot of ripping and taping. The back is covered in tape, and anytime I ripped, I would put a piece of tape over where I ripped so that the stitches would stay in place. This one might be my favorite. I did a bunch of French knots, excuse me, where there were little red flowers. And so that one has a bunch of flowers on it. The little alligator got a couple of hearts. And then I very wonkily, if that's a word, I sewed "Wish You Were Here" across the top of this very poorly. Another thing I didn't think about until I was about here in the sewing is I could have written the words on there and then just traced them, and it probably wouldn't be so like weird and wonky, but there it is. Now I'm going to get some cardstock and I'm going to back these, and then I'm just going to glue them to cardstock, and then I'm going to sew around the edges with my sewing machine to kind of keep them all in there, and then I'll be back. Here we go. I've got them all glued onto this piece of cardstock that I dyed with something. I'm gonna guess onion paper or onion skins because that looks like the right color. And I'm just gonna cut them all out. I ended up leaving these sitting overnight under something heavy because I wanted to make sure that the glue did what the glue needed to do. Now I have to decide how I want to do the back side of these. I know I'm still going to sew around them with my sewing machine. But on the back, I guess I need to make the postcard bit, and I don't have a stamp big enough for that, so I think I'm just going to have to draw it on. I considered doing another backing, but I think I'll just use these. I like some of the dirtier bits, the more stained bits. I am going to ink them up. You know, I'm going to use Vintage Photo because it is closer in color to this. It's not quite, but I think it'll be easier to sew these after inking versus inking after sewing. I'm going to finish inking these up and go ahead and sew around them with my machine, and then I'll be back. Alright, I have sewn around them all. This one I just went around with a running stitch once. I really like the way that turned out. This one I went around twice, and in a couple of places I did a zigzag stitch very badly. I did not expect it to be so wide and come off, but hey, it's fine. I like it better now that I've done it. And I like the fact that it's wonky, so I'm gonna roll with it. This one I sewed around just once with a running stitch. I did end up sewing over this flower over here that I did with French knots. This one might be my favorite. And then this guy I went around twice, really wonky. That's another high up on my list of likes list. These two are just okay for me. Now I gotta make it look like a postcard on this side, so I'm going to just do a brief, I have some postcards, I have postcards somewhere, hold on, let me find them. Alright, so I found a postcard in my stash, and I just wanted it as a reference. So we've got the spot for the stamp on this side, and then usually a line down the middle. Some of them have lines here for the address, and then you write your note here. Some of them have words up here. So we are just going to draw it on. I'm not trying to be that fancy. So find about center point, which, did I just do that perfectly? Yeah. Yeah, I did. How could that have happened? I don't know. And then draw a line. I said I wasn't going to be fancy, and yet here I am using a ruler. I can't sew straight, I can't draw straight. Okay. So now each of my postcards look like postcards. So I think that is where I will leave these today. So short but sweet. Nice little version of compartmental making in a way. These magazine pages I already had in my stash. I had ripped them out because I liked the pictures on them and knew I would use them for something. And that was that step in compartmental making that day. Now they have been turned into postcards with hand stitching and machine stitching, and I love them. They are so cute. This one, I think this one was my favorite. I thought I was going to go insane doing all these French knots through a magazine, but I really, really like how this turned out. And again, I can decorate them further. I'm doing this Dephemerember. I keep struggling with the fact that I'm not producing things that are like as intricate as the last years I've done. Because in the past I was focusing on one piece of ephemera that specifically had some sort of theme or a journal it was going into, a color scheme, what have you. And so I'm finding myself trying to be okay with presenting things that don't feel complete, even though that's the point. For me, at least. That's like the challenge I've set upon myself, is to make things that feel somewhat incomplete, but because I'm a content creator, like it's something that I'm wrestling with, is really what I'm trying to say. Like these other things that I've made, I could go further and decorate them, and in the past I would have, whereas for this I'm making things that will eventually go other places. And so I had an urge to like put some lace here and maybe a button or something, and I was like, you know what, but I don't know where this is going to go eventually. And for now, that's fine. So that's a fun challenge that I've experienced so far during this Dephemerember is, okay, my pieces aren't done. I can't put them out for everybody to see, right? No, that's not the case. These are done for now, and that's fine. So hopefully, if you are participating and feel the same way, you're not alone. You're not alone. And it's okay, is what I'm trying to say. I have to keep reminding myself of that. It's okay that they're not completed yet. That's not the point. So, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day. Bye.